May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you, dear viewers, and welcome to your program Fatawa. I have the honor to have with me my guest, Dr. Sami Mandour, professor at Al-Azhar University. Peace and blessing of Allah be upon you, Doctor. Shall we start immediately? Before we start, we would like to remind you of useful information. You can contact us using the numbers that will appear on the screen, 0020233887590, and the other number that ends with 91 at the end, or via Skype, Iqraa.com, mail Fatawa at Iqraa.com, Fatawa/French TV. We were talking about Zakat and we gave a few definitions in the previous episode. We will continue talking about this topic and then approach two main things: the economy in Islam and also about the beneficial categories for the zakat. We're going to start immediately, Dr. Sami, the principles on which is based the economy of Islam.
In the name of God, may the peace and the blessings of Allah be upon His Messenger Muhammad, his family, and his faithful companions. Peace be with you, dear viewers. First of all, it's a very important subject today because the economy, because it's a very integral part of this subject, because we are talking, of course, about the Islam that englobes and that all the activities, Islamic activities, if we try to manage an activity, economic activity in the society, this activity must be very related to certain principles. In general, we were talking about one of the principles in the last day. We were talking about the unicity of God and the management. If we talk in everything about the Muslim's life, if we believe in God, it's this thing is very important. It will help us to manage everything in our life, because God told us to do everything, and we have to, of course, start our work based on the unicity of God. First of all, second thing, this will give us the importance of the property, individual property. We're going to talk about the goods and how to possess things. And today, because you are mandated on earth, how to manage all the goods on earth. So you have this choice how to manage, of course, in those goods, and how you enjoy this. So you must, if you have the money, so you have to pay back all this money, and essentially to those who are in need. This will realize what we call the equality in life and the justice, the equity. Here the Muslim will feel very solidaire, and he will extract from everything, will give them happiness, joy to the poor. I'm talking about the poor, that you can give them joy, happiness. If the rich persons will start giving those goods to the poor, they will extract every pain, all the pain from the heart of the Muslim. So he has to seek the poor, the beneficiaries of the zakat, to give them the zakat. He has to seek all the poor. It's a work,
it's
and
better that he gives it
essentially
himself.
he has also the rich
And it
must.
brings people together.
This will give the possibility to strengthen the ties between the humans, between the poor, between the rich. Here, when we talk about the equity, the justice, and when we talk about the collaboration, the affection, the love in the society, this will lead us directly to the very important subject is to interdict the riba. That's why God told us that the riba is not permissible, is not allowed, because the riba is a sign of this injustice and something that we can't tolerate in the society. So there is interest. It's something like we exploit those persons. It's against in front of those poor and how to exploit these poor. This is the riba, and all the need of the poor. I'm exploiting all the needs of the poor. Here, there is three principles essentially in the Islamic economy. When we talk about the zakat, as a Muslim, what can I do? First, the zakat, we have to consider this as one of the first principles, that the zakat is a part of these obligations. It's something very important. It's an obligation, how to institute essentially in the second year of Hijr, before the arrival of the Prophet in Medina. In Mecca, they imposed or they subject this. We were talking about the prescription that we called the zakat. So, like for example, the fasting, God prescribed also the fasting, and also it's a part of the Islam, it's a part of our beliefs, our thoughts. As a Muslims, even in the Muslim community, we must follow something, the measure, the legal measure, because when we spend the money, if I have the money and I want to spend this money, I must have these things that we have to avoid everything, to avoid the illicit things, or even we should also not to be total, not to open totally our hands and not to close it also, because we have to feel, in this case we're going to feel something that we call it also, and we can be, or we can feel sorry for what we did, because it's something that we have to fix it in the economy.
We need to create a balance between both.
Exactly, it's a balance. We have a hadith, a very important hadith. Those who will not be poor, those who are economizing their goods, their money. I will give you an example. If you gain, for example, if you have so we have to act here, how to manage our things in the manner how to save this money, and the rest how we can save a little portion of this money, and the other we can spend it if we want to buy or to buy something that can exceed the 2,000 of euros. In this case, we will be obliged to start having debits and to take money from the others also. When we start having debits, so we must seek something very important, because there is...
So we need to know how to manage our life with the amount of money that
we have,
you
for
already
example,
possess.
thousands of euros.
If we
and we
earn
have
a
to
certain
know
amount of money, we need to spend accordingly, especially if we are faced with situations where we are obliged to spend this money on, like going to the hospital or something like that.
And those who spend their money and they didn't, of course, and so we have to talk, we have to make a balance between saving the money and we have to be aware from many things that we are doing in our life, how to proceed in certain measures and how to save this money. And we have to create a balance between the saving money and spending this money. We have to create this balance. If, for example, we are suffering from what we call it, something is not...
Problems will occur.
So we shouldn't having debits
So
from the others.
For the person and the country itself, or the society.
So the economy here in the country, we must do something like we call it budget, for example, at the level of certain countries. In this budget, we must have this equilibrium between the saving the money and spending the money. If we don't do this, so we're going to have a deficit. That's why we're going to harm our budget in the country. So we are talking about a moral aspect and the obligatory aspect of the zakat. And this is a part of the faith, the beliefs, our belongs. And this is what we call it, the measures, the fixed measures. So what we call it also, so how to... So we shouldn't bring this money and to save it in a manner that we can give also a benefit.
We're going to take this
for those
caller and then continue talking about the zakat. Fatima from France, peace be upon you, Fatima. Yes, peace be with you. I have a question for the sheikh. I am divorced and I have children. I still wear the headscarf, but sometimes my husband visits me in order to see the children, and my neighbor says that I shouldn't allow my ex-husband to come and visit me at home. So I wanted to know if it's permissible or not for my ex-husband to come and stay for a certain period of time in order to see his children. He comes, he discusses with me about things related to our kids. But I stay with my headscarf on me, so I just wanted to know if this visit of my ex-husband is licit or illicit. We will give you the answer immediately.
So
yes, can we answer her?
Do we need to answer the question? Here we are facing a family that is suffering because there is a separation and between the husband and the woman, and there is also kids. And now the kids they are with the woman, so the children they are with the woman, and the father has the right to see his children and to go to visit his children and also to help his children and to give them the money
and to spend money on their on his kids,
for them the money also. Here we have this need of we need this collaboration between the ex-wife and the ex-husband, the father and the mother. So even they are divorced. And here there is a principle. For the principle, the husband, the ex-husband, and the ex-wife, the father, the mother, are strangers now. It's not permissible for them to be alone in an apartment or in a room. But what I think in this case, we have the children, because she was talking about many children. She has 2 children? Yes, 2 children. So if so they can come, but in the presence of the mahram, in presence of a woman and a man, in presence of
even if it's kids, if his kids are still very young,
so,
like
yes.
4 years old.
So it should be a woman, a Muslim woman, or a related man. So we have to avoid what we call it to be alone.
And the ex-wife needs to keep her headscarf?
Of course, because they are strangers. So she must be treated, she has to treat her husband as a stranger, even if he's a father of, he's the father of her children. So there is an attitude or a conduct. So she has to put her veil, and she shouldn't show everything because it's her ex-husband. So she needs to hide her beauty, her attires. So there is many activities. They have to collaborate together for how to educate their children. And
very good. We're going to talk about al-zakat and continue talking about this topic. We cannot consume or spend lots of money at home.
We've been talking about how to consume and how to preserve this money. So, for example, I have an income of 2,000 euro. I will try to save a little of this money or an amount of this money, but to save it, all of it, and to do not allow the others to benefit from it. For example, the poor, they must also profit from these money. Those who are preserving this money or the gold, and they are not spending it in the name of God. So we have to spend the money in the name of God. Of course, we need to spend it. We need to spend an amount of this money for the future, but we need also to spend it in the name of God for the interest of the Muslims. This act in the Islam is blamed and is not allowed and is not permissible, because it will lead us to the hellfire.
We have another caller, Naima from France. Peace be with you. I have 2 questions. Yes. My first question is related to a woman who wants to marry a Muslim man, and he's apparently a pious Muslim. He believes in God, he fasts Ramadan, but he doesn't pray. He doesn't pray. So I just wanted to know if this validates the marriage. My second question is, when a woman is sick or ill and she's at a hospital, is she obliged to keep her hijab in her room at the hospital? Because, as you know, male doctors enter the room. So that's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
Here we are facing 2 questions. we are in front of two questions. The first question is how to get married or to marry a person. He's fasting,
Except salat,
but
except
he's
prayer.
not praying. Those who are not praying because we have a certain attitudes, those who are not praying anymore without any obligatory things, so he has to know that the prayer is an obligatory act. And there is also those who are not praying anymore because they think that the prayer is not a part of the Islam. For the first case is someone who is committing sin, so because the prayer is one of the pillars of the Islam, so he's not a Muslim anymore, because the prayer is one of the five pillars of Islam. So if when we are getting married, so we have to think, this is my advice to the woman, if we think it's not she can marry this person, but if she thinks that she can, for example, help him to correct his faults, so she has to wish, and if God can guide her to the right way, and to help her also how to encourage this person to continue praying, or to convince him to pray. So if they will have this opportunity to build this relation based on certain things and a commitment between them, so she can marry him. But first, as we said, it's not an interdiction, but we have to choose the Muslim who respects all the pillars of the Islam and the rules of Islam. There is the piety, the virtuality, and so he has to know all about the Islam. So you can marry him, and you have to try also to help him. So we are also asked to choose the future father, because it's a very important question, because he's going to be the future father of our children. So if we can correct him and to lead him to the right way, but it's not interdicted, or it's not an interdiction to marry this person. It's something very important to marry him. This is the second
question. We will answer it after the break. So, dear viewers, stay with us, but it's related to a woman in a hospital room, the obligation of keeping her hijab on or not. After the break. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are broadcasting live from our international channels, and we have received many questions. So before the break, the question was pertaining to a woman who is in a hospital's room, and she is keeping her hijab. The caller wanted to know if she needs to keep the headscarf or not, because she has male doctors visiting her in the room. So if the person is ill and she lost consciousness, is her mother or her father obliged to put the headscarf on her head?
The principle is like said the hadith, in the hadith mentioned in the hadith, so he was mentioning her face. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was talking to Asma, because Asma maybe was very young, but now so what I can advise to this woman, so in this case it's illicit, it's not permissible you must cover all your body except the hands and the face. And the Quran said that you have to tell all the believers and the women, those believers, the women, to have to show it's to lower the gas or lower the gas. No, this is the principle. So the scarf is an obligation. In certain cases, especially in urgent cases, so we can take it off. But in this case, in the case of this question, when we are in the room in a hospital, and there is many doctors are strangers to this woman and can enter to the room. In this case, the woman must put on her scarf. If she's not, she can't see if there is a companion. If there is no companion to the woman of this woman in the room, so she has to cover or to hide all the intimate parts of her body. And this is, and to put the scarf.
And if the woman stays like 1 month unconscious, or if she's conscious also, does she have to wear the headscarf?
Normally it's 24 hours. There is no other persons in the room, but there is doctors who are visiting her.
Ill person anytime.
But the principle, what we say when we enter to this room, we have to knock the door first. Here we have to be ready and to wear our scarf, because there is maybe a man who will enter the room. Maybe he's a stranger.
Even if she's beyond 60 years old.
Here it's another thing. When we talk about this woman, very old woman, and they can, for example, do not exceed certain aspects. So they can, for example, they can, of course, to maybe certain, she can, for example, put certain things and to cover, but she hasn't to put certain things or certain. So this person, first of all, when he is entering and knock the door, and
great. We have another question received via mail from Mamagoum Boukoum. I'm a young Muslim and my father consumes alcohol, and he asks me to buy alcohol for him.
It's a question, a very important question concerning the relation between the sons and the parents. But before answering the question, so we have to show him the principle of Islam. The first principle, we have to obey to the parents. This is in general, it's a rule. As a son, we must obey to our parents. So we have to show them that we are treating them in a good sense. So here we must, because we certify there is a unity of God. And the second thing after this prescription, divine prescription, we have to treat our family, to treat our father and mothers in a good way. And we recommended also, we have 2 verses in the Quran, and we recommended also in the verse of Ahqaf, we have 2 verses. So, and we recommended to the sons to treat well their family, their parents, to treat well the father, the mother. This is one of the principles. There is also another principle that we should take into consideration, and it was reported by Imam Ahmad, and those who are, and this is what was mentioned by Al-Umran. So those who are not who doesn't obey the God, so also they shouldn't associate God, and they have also to obey their parents, the father and the mother. So you have, for example, they are doing all their best, they are multiplying their efforts and doing everything to encourage you to be on a good way. But so we shouldn't be very aggressive. We shouldn't also be very rude, especially to the Muslims. If so, we have to treat our parents with feeling, with love, with affection, with respect, and we have to advise, for example, our father that the alcohol is a sin.
One question here. Is the father going to accept that the fact that his son is advising him?
I have to prepare myself to show my father the respect, the admiration, the affection.
I agree with you, but will the father accept this?
But we must try, not only one time, many times, because I love my father, I love my mother, so I have to do all my best. But if they protest and if they push you to do certain sins or to commit the sin, so in this case you must leave them. No, and the Quran said that you should leave them, for example, and to leave them totally. But if we try also, but in the other hand, we have to be very respectful
yes, I was about
our
to say this.
parents. So we should have this attitude. If they ask you to do certain acts or to commit certain acts that unacceptable acts, so it's for the woman in this case, but he has to advise her father that is a part of the sin that she's doing, for example. So here, this will lead us to do not obey to God if we're not respecting our family, our parents. So that's why we should ask them in a good manner.
Very good. We have Umran from France. Peace be with you. May God bless you. I have two questions concerning relations with my family members, especially when we have pious and non-pious people in the family. Someone who is pious, who wears the headscarf and respects her religion, and she's a professor in the Tajweed, and she has a twin sister who is the opposite. She doesn't want to hear anything regarding to the headscarf, and she is really lost. Even though this pious person wanted to bring her sister on the right path, but she was very aggressive towards her sister, and she didn't want to hear anything. Sometimes the discussion and the conversation between them goes very far, and it can be very harmful for the other sister. What is it going to happen if the sister gets tired of advising with no apparent results, and what do you advise her to do? Does she have to untie all relations with her sisters? I have another question regarding a person who is divorced and she has 3 kids. Her husband was Muslim who used to practice his religion but without praying. He's also lost. She really cannot live with this person anymore. I didn't quite understand your question, sister. What did you mean? She wants to reconstruct this family
without being with the family.
Yeah, without.
So this is to have this relation, but away from the family. This is what you mean.
He wants to get back to his family slowly. He wants to.
No, it's something not official.
He wants to get back to his family, but slowly. He wants to construct himself spiritually, but he doesn't want to enter the. I didn't understand your question. Okay, I am going to rephrase. This person wants to get back to his family, to his wife, because they are divorced. So her wife becomes his wife became a stranger for him. He wants to
marry her again,
to get married again, but he doesn't want to enter the family officially, and he doesn't want to be with her on a daily basis, because when he is with her, he might sometimes he doesn't fulfill all his obligations.
So
he didn't get
is he
married.
married with another?
No, he didn't get married. He's still with his family. He's living currently with his father and mother, but he wants to be close to his kids. And his wife, his ex-wife, didn't want him to visit her since they are still divorced. So this husband wants to get married to his ex-wife again, but slowly. He wants to construct himself spiritually first. Then we're going to answer you immediately.
Yes, here in this case, first of all, it's a family. It's a family and who faced many problems that they leaded them to the divorce between the husband and the wife, because the virility period is terminated. It's the end of, and they want to reconciliate between them, and to reconciliate or to marry again. It's something. We're talking here how to have this, how to obtain the contract of this marriages that can subject many obligations. So we have to say it from the beginning, but we have a problem here that we have to talk about it. Here, he comes at home from time to time, but he's not living. He's not gonna live with his wife. So, and then he can go see his wife, and then he can go back and to his family, his father, his mother. He comes to see his children. But the problem here, there is a legal problem, a problem of the principle, ethical problem. But what is
to be together,
the objective
to remain
of
one family,
the marriage?
coherent family.
It's to ensure the stability, to ensure a certain life based on the love, on the affection, on the friendship. It's the serenity, but the objective, the finality of the marriage, this is the finality of the marriage. The decision here, it's not it's a legal problem. If the woman accepts to marry again with the same manner, because and if the contract, the new contract of the marriage is registered, it's something that he has to be conscious about the importance of this thing. But the presence of the father, who is going to be again husband, based on the education, on the formation, and the family life. If the husband can easier go to his house in the same way, it should be certain relations, intimate relations. If this marriage, it can be, for example, something to establish a life, a family life, a normal family life. But there is no inconvenience to interdict this marriage, because it will be registered in the papers, in the contract, to obtain all the aspects of the normal marriage.
I will come back to this question, but we have Saïda from France first, and then we will talk in detail about this issue again. Saïda, peace be with you. May God bless you. I have two questions. My first question is about divergency, because praise be to Allah, I really am trying to study my religion, but I am really lost. I'm really lost because there's so many diversity in the school of thoughts. I know what you are going to tell me. You are going to tell me to follow the sunnah of our beloved Prophet, but we have so many authors and we are really lost. We cannot make up our mind regarding this or that school of thought. My second question is, my son is going to ask it for you. Peace be with you. Muslims are going to go to paradise. Do animals go to paradise also when they die? What is your name first? Tell me what's your name. What's your name? May God bless you. Thank you very much. What's your son's name? Ismail. Ismail. How old is he?
Is the name of the Prophet Ismail.
8 years old. Thank you, Ismail. We will answer you immediately. We'll try to answer Ismail first. Do the animals go
normally
to paradise?
God, He created many categories of the creatures. For example, we have the humans and the angels, and we have also the animals. As humans, jinn and humans, we are responsible, we are charged, we are majors, so we are assuming the responsibility as mentioned by the Quran. Because the man who's accepting to assume the responsibility, so God shows us the ways. The man and the jinn follows the good way. This good way will lead him to the paradise. The bad way, So he has the right, of course, for repentance. But when he dies, he can't seek forgiveness from God. The men have their destiny, if it's to paradise or to the hellfire. For the angels, they are not assuming, they are that who are obeying to God. So their destiny, they are here just to obey to God. Here we're not talking about paradise, hellfire, but we have angels responsible of paradise and others are responsible of hellfire. For the animals, the paradise or hellfires is for those who are assuming responsibility, because there is a punishment and there is also the rewards. But the question here, and to be simple, it's not the question if an animal, how to punish an animal who hurt another animal. This is what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said. So there is, for example, the right of forgiveness, and God will bring both animals, those who committed the bad acts against another animal. So these two animals are equal, and so they will be what we call it, there is no paradise or hellfire.
I hope that Ismail had his answer.
The animals, there is equal and punishment, and also
we're going to take
rewards.
a short break and then come back in order to talk about and answer a few questions. Saida's question also. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are broadcasting live from international channels of Iqraa. We answer your questions via mail, via phone calls, so don't hesitate to contact us. Saida's question from friends regarding the divergency among jurisconsulates.
What is our rule? It's the blessings, the mercies, the blessing, but for the sheikh, if there is something else, because the sheikh might also have to say what the faqih said. I can, for example, tell you certain fatwas based on the other opinions of the scholars. So we were talking about this divergency of all these problems. For example, certain fuqaha or faqih will try to analyze the phenomenon and how to bring all the sources of Islam, of the Sharia, the Quran, the Sunnah, the consensus, and the analogy, and the other things. And starting from this point, and starting from this study, very deep study, so he will he will give us a fatwa or an opinion, a religious opinion. But for me, like an individual, what can I do? For me, and we gave when we talk about someone who's not specialized in the domain of the fiqh or the sharia, this person he has no juridistic school.
We have Abu Muhammad from France. Peace be with you, Abu Muhammad.
Hello.
Peace be with you. I have a question regarding the what are the practices that we are allowed to do as a husband and wife in our intimate relationships?
D'accord, ok. C'est bon. Vous avez d'autres questions?
Do you have any other question? Thank you very much.
Ok, merci.
Thank you.
D'accord. Alors je continue, on continue avec les
So we continue talking about the
For the divergency is based on certain principles because it's a comprehension of a certain text of the Quran and also many other things. As an individual, if, for example, I will talk to a sheikh or to a scholar just to ask him a question, my concern, if he gave me a fatwa, he will be responsible of this fatwa, but I have to follow what he told me about my question. For me, I will not assume the responsibility of his fatwa. If I have the trust for this sheikh or scholar because he's well reputed for his science, his experience in life, if he's someone faithful, so we have to respect what he told us. We shouldn't go and to say to, like, for example, that this person gave us another question, and after that I can go to seek another answer from another sheikh, and here I will have to choose between the three scholars. Now it's not like it's not in this way. If the scholar, the sheikh, will give us an answer, a fatwa, so we have to respect this fatwa, and if this sheikh or scholar has a long experience, so I have to respect and to follow his fatwa, a fatwa for my question. But the divergency, it's not one of my concerns because an individual, because he has to assume plenty the responsibility of my question.
The first question asked by Rayan concerning the twins, one who is pious and the other one who is lost, according to Rayan. The pious one tries to advise her sister, asking her to wear the headscarf, to be on the right path of Islam, but her lost sister is very stubborn and doesn't want to hear anything. This is creating numerous problems between the sisters. They broke the ties between them. What is your advice for the pious sister in order to fix the situation?
There is a principle to be reported. What we call it, how to preserve the ties between the family, between the closest person. The second thing is the advice, the sincerity. For the first principle, God said, so here for the first principle, God told us to preserve the ties of the family and to conserve and to consolidate these ties, these family ties. And God said that those who are not respecting these family ties will not go to paradise. This is what God said. So how, as mentioned by the verses, it's how to cut these ties, the family ties, or will not allow us, God will not accept it, and we can go to the paradise. The religion, it's the sincerity, and how to give advices also to all the Muslims. So we have this is very important, based on the possibility. And related to the first subject, we have the third point, and God said about the da'wah. So we have to invite the others to the religion, to using the tranquility, and how to convince them. Under the light of these things, here we can say that we have, for example, if I have a sister or a brother who's committing sins, but my question, if he doesn't respect this relation or the ties, the family ties, or if we cut this relation with him, this will, for example, strengthen this, or will fix, will enhance, will help his situation. No, of course not, because there is many who are, those who are very calm, they are trying to reconciliate the relations, they are trying to reconciliate the relations between them, between the family. So we are recommended to respect everything for this person, like what we said for the family, for the parents. We have to try how to bring and to preserve these family ties. So we have to also to try to be to treat them well.
Shahrazad from France. Good evening, peace be with you. I wanted to ask you, for a young woman who was frequenting a boy, but unfortunately she got pregnant. But then they got married.
You mean that they want to get married?
Yes, they already got married because she got pregnant, and they advised her and her partner to do the licit thing, which is getting married.
To get married. You mean civil marriage or a religious marriage?
Yes, actually it's a religious marriage, and the girl's parents wanted the civil marriage, but meanwhile they accepted that these young people are together already, and to get into the licit way of their life. So, do you have any other question? My second question is, and when this religious marriage happens, the parents didn't want that the young people live together in the same apartment immediately. So they told their son to finish his studies, to find a job. Is it a type of study? Is he studying still at the university? Yes. BTL? BTS is it's a type of studies. He's a cashier manager at the shop, and this diploma is going to allow him to work in the management field. So for an entire year, he left the girl because his parents didn't want him to be with her in the same apartment. So since a year now, he's not with her.
Le garçon est venu 2 ou 3 fois voir le petit, mais il ne veut pas reconnaître
he wanted to visit his baby, but he doesn't want to recognize that he's the father.
Il est toujours sa femme.
What I wanted to know is she still his wife, considered as his wife? Is this halal marriage still valid or not? Is this licit marriage still valid or not? Please stay with us on the phone because we want to ask you a few questions.
Here I am, many questions. First, after this relation, illegal relation, so they agree for the marriage.
Yes.
You said a religious marriage.
Yes, religious marriage.
So they spend 1 year and the family impose that both of you should be separated and each one of you must live alone.
They agreed to get a religious marriage, but without being together immediately. The girl stays with her family, and
I'm sorry. After 1 year,
the man stays with his family.
Till now, there is no civil marriage. After 1 year, the father, so you have already a child. The father doesn't want to admit his children.
Yes. Due to the fact that time has passed, he doesn't want to recognize the baby, that is his baby. And he started saying, telling his wife that he's not sure anymore 100% that this baby is his baby. But how come? If he married her a year ago,
it was before the marriage.
She got pregnant before the marriage, and that's why they decided to get married, in order to get in the licit
and now he's not sure
path.
Because she's saying
he says now that he's not sure anymore, and he wants. His parents are saying now that since it's very expensive to take in charge the baby nowadays, they just chose the easy way to not recognize the baby. And I really think that it's very weird and tricky, because they don't want to take in charge the baby. We really don't understand what's going on. What does he want? What does this guy want? Why is he coming to visit his baby, since he doesn't want to recognize the baby? The Sheikh is going to answer you.
So we will try to answer your questions. I'll be with us.
You want her to stay with us on the phone? Fine. We're going to answer the question very, very...
First of all, before answering the question, we have to go back to the question of the relation between the two twins. So we mentioned the principles for this sister, so she has to preserve the ties with her sister, with this relation with her sister, and to try again and again to give her advices and to guide her to the right way, and to do not cut categorically with her sister, and to hereditate. So she have to keep this relation with her sister and to save this relation, as the hadith said that no paradise for those who are not, who do not keep the relations.
We're going to take a short break and then come back in order to answer this very heavy and complicated question. So stay with us. If God wills, Allah will guide you. Welcome back, dear viewers. So it's the last segment of our episode. And I'm going to ask again this complicated
it's very
question
complicated
that we are
question.
trying to solve. Shahrazad from France, she was asking about the situation, the legal situation of this couple who got married because the girl got pregnant, and then problems occurred, and the boy and the man left the woman after a certain time. He came back to visit the baby, but he doesn't want to recognize this baby. He didn't admit that he's the father of this baby. So I really don't know what this young man or this future husband want exactly. What does he want exactly from this woman, and what does he want from the baby, since he doesn't recognize that he's the father?
We have many things to say regarding this question, but before answering this question, we have to try first to establish certain principles. So we have to seek something very special about the problem. So we shouldn't allow the girls and the boys to be alone. This will lead them to the illegal relation, and they will suffer from certain consequences of this relation. It's like a nightmare. To be very sure and honest, we must try to avoid for our children certain relations that can be illegal, and we have to give them the good education concerning the religion. And God said in the Quran, we shouldn't do the zina, for example, or having these illegal relations. So we shouldn't commit this adultery, because there is many things that can lead these persons, man or woman, to commit these sins. So we have to cut the road categorically to this crime, because this will lead us to other sins. This is one. And starting from this illicit relation, we have a fruit from this. A victim is a baby, and now the baby and now he's a baby, and he's a human, and he has his rights. And based on the jurisprudence in the Islam, we will not admit the adultery, and the fruit of this adultery is not admitted by the Islam. So in Islam, this is a very critical question, and we have this situation that this father doesn't admit this relation with this baby. He doesn't admit he doesn't admit the baby, and
but it's something between him and Allah.
I'm talking here about about the opinion of the jurisprudence. The adultery, it's a loss. The fruit of this relation has no values, legal values, based on jurisprudence. So to know for who is this baby, so this baby should be attributed to the mother, because the father because the mother knows well that if even the father is having doubts
to
and
react
he's
in the
suspicious
society,
about
how is he going to
the baby,
behave in the society if he doesn't recognize
so
his no
we
own baby?
must give this child to the mother. So he must have all the rights in the society. He must take it in charge by the mother. The society is responsible.
But at school, for instance, other pupils are going to have a certain behavior towards
normally,
him.
we must give him any name. We must give him a certificate, a birth certificate that this children is the son of anyone. For example, we can mention any name. And we have to show that he has a father. And based on this jurisprudence opinion about for whom is this child, because if we are a man or a woman, if the case concerns the man and the woman and they have a child, and the father in this case is pretending that he's not the father of this child. So there is another solution in the Sharia, but in this case, they were not a married couple, but they were a couple in general. For the second question, so to resolve this problem, they committed another problem. So they were trying to resolve the problem, they created another problem. Now they agreed to do a religious marriage, because here the family will be gathered, and they brought an imam maybe. So they are gathered to conclude the certificate of the marriage. But the problem here, to register this marriage is very important, is very urgent, and very necessary to preserve the rights of all the members. So we registered but we didn't go also to the municipality to, for example, make a certificate.
Can we take
civil certificate?
Phone call? Khadija from France.
Allô? Salam alaikum.
Peace be with you, Khadija.
Bon, nous avons aussi Ali de France.
We have Ali from France also. Peace be with you, Ali.
Allô?
Oui, oui.
Yes, you are with us live.
Allez-y.
I have a question. As a Muslim, we are told that voting and participating in elections is illicit. So it's haram to participate, it's illicit to participate in elections. My second question, I don't grow a beard because as you know, some Muslims, some scholars say that we miss something, that we are lacking a major thing if we don't grow a beard.
Yes, we will answer your question.
So concerning the beard and the vote, is it licit or illicit to participate in voting? We're going to answer you immediately.
To resume, to wrap up the case, so to resolve the problem, they created another problem. So they created a marriage that is not admitted by the society, and they created a marriage, but this marriage is not admitted religiously. And the third problem, here it's the fault of the family. The third point, they created also another problem. So they are now separated, those who pretended that they are married. So now,
from one problem, we have created so
they
many
created
others.
many problems. It's not a condition, a legal condition. If they are a man and a woman, so they must live together
Great.
as
I have
a
only
couple,
less
a
than 2
married
minutes.
couple. I will give you, for the wrap-up, here, so he has, I call this man to establish, to be conscious and to be a good Muslim, and to think and to review his situation, because he has to be scared from the God and to have this faith and to think that the fear of God, to fear the God, and to try to resolve all the solution with the family, to be all together and to meet, to seek a solution. But you have to proceed legally and to seek a solution, legal solution.
Great. So I hope.
And here, in 2 words, to vote for the elections.
The second question to Ali.
So you have to accomplish your rights as a citizen. There is a divergency, but you have to participate in the elections. Even in the fatwa, a Muslim or a citizen, a positive and constructive positive, must participate and must elect anyone he can see that he can give him all he needs, and based on different opinions, those who are adopting certain things, certain points, very important things.
Fine. So we have come to the end of our episode for today. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Sami Mandour, for your presence. Dear viewers, may Allah protect and bless you.